All right. Hello, everyone. I'm
Yeah.
here with my awesome friend Nikki via Zoom because we be quarantined. Good times. So, we decided that our topic today is going to be about connecting with loved ones remotely because that is a timely thing right now. I've been talking with a number of friends just about this idea that sometimes it's easy to feel lonely, especially for those of us who are living single or we're separated from loved ones for whatever reason at this time. But there's some pretty simple techniques that anybody can do to connect with people from far away. And you can really feel their presence in the room with you. And I think that would offer a lot of comfort to people who, while we're going through this crazy madness right now. So, Uh, Nikki, let's talk about what you do as a Reiki practitioner to connect remotely.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm a Reiki practitioner for 10 years now, and I just got my master's certification done. Part of what I do with clients, I actually offer distance Reiki, um, which is a incredibly powerful way of connecting with someone who maybe can't leave their house, or they live quite a ways away. um, the question that gets asked the most is, how does distance Reiki work if you're not in the same room, touching a client? Where's the connection at? And so, even when I was first learning, I was just, asking myself, like, how can I possibly connect to a person I'm not in the same room with? And, in my training and over time, it became more and more apparent to me that um, how Reiki makes its connection, the system that it works with, is through literally what the word Reiki means, which is universal life force and energy, intelligent higher energy. So, this is the field that gets tapped into when people, are psychic, they psychically connect to others, or, they're clairvoyant. It's the information in that field. That's the field that we're really working with. Um, so, there really doesn't need to be any in-person contact. Um, and my clients really feel incredibly moved through those distant sessions, which we just did one the other day. So,
Yeah, I definitely want to speak from personal experience. We did a session the other day, and I started out feeling like, we all do at this point, but I've got my own personal stuff going on in addition to everything that's happening in the world. And I just was feeling tired and alone and not really tapped into my, I guess you could say, the highest version of myself, feeling kind of depleted. And while we were doing our session, well, first thing that was really interesting was when I shared with Nikki what sensations I felt in my body. We realized we were having the same sensations in our body you know we experienced the same energy in the same places while it was happening. So to me, that's pretty good confirmation that we're not making it up. um, but after the session was done, it was like a bunch of muck just got lifted out of my body, and I felt much more of a sense of connection with just everything around me. I didn't feel that disconnect anymore. And I think that's the main issue, that people, when we feel lonely, it's because we're disconnected. We feel like we're not um, in that love space with other people. And so I felt like that session last week, like, it really helped me tap back into the fact that no matter where I am, no matter where my loved ones are, I can tap into the love we share wherever I am at all times. There is no disconnect other than the muck that kind of gets stuck in our field and blocks it. So,
Yeah, and that's really what, Reiki works with, is that field of energy, really just to clear the blockages. If there's a vacuum there, if there's a blockage there, if there's stagnancy there, it really just works to get that flow going, in a healthy way. And it really, really, truly is exactly what you said. It's reconnection. It's reconnection to that greater collective field. So it has nothing to do with anything on, how powerful the practitioner is or what the client has going on. Like, it simply works in that field. So it's amazing.
yeah. And I guess my question for you to start would be, if somebody came to you and was saying, "Hey, like I'm feeling really lonely and disconnected. I need to touch another human being, but I cannot." Like what would you tell them to do to kind of reestablish that connection?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm actually going to tell you the process that I go through when I'm actually doing a distance session. It, works every single time. And what I do is I find, the most quiet, peaceful place in my home, which is usually my bedroom. And I might, yeah, lay down on the bed or lay down somewhere comfortable. And if you have a face mask or a little eye pillow, something you want to put on your eyes, grab a little pillow, something that you can, just place on your body and hold gently in your hands. And I often listen to music. So you can put some, earbuds in or something, and put on like the most, relaxing music you have, or some meditation music, and just close your eyes, and really just focus on your breath, just gentle breathing, and you'll notice after a few minutes, as you just kind of calm down a little bit, and you get into that very gentle space. um, you can bring your thoughts to, if you're thinking of someone specific, you can bring your thoughts to them, and just be in gratitude for them, and how you feel about them, the love that you experience with them, the joy that you experience. And I actually envision maybe holding on to them where I'm holding the pillow, or having my hands on their head. And as I think of them, and these emotions I feel, I'll actually sense an energy flow moving through my arms down into my hands, and it feels like I'm actually holding that person. And I'll
Hold
talk
up.
to them in that space, and I'll tell them, I'm so grateful for you, I love you, I hope everything in the highest good happens for you, and I really communicate whatever it is that's coming up for me in that way. And I have to tell you, um, and this might sound really, really off the wall, but I experience communication with that person in that space. It's just a knowing, it's just a knowing. So you can do that for as long as you want to do that. You want to lay there for 15, 30 minutes, and just be in that space. And, when you can sense that the communication is over, you can, just say a little thing of gratitude for that connection and that ability to do that. And sometimes you just want to drift off to sleep afterwards, or just be in a happy space. And so that's the best way to experience that when you're disconnected from someone.
Yeah, and it totally does. Like you feel so much lift afterwards. Like
Right.
the same way you would feel giving somebody a hug that you care about, or spending time talking to them, like if they were right in front of you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and I know sometimes too you don't have some people aren't great at getting into that calm meditation space, and I think especially if you're having a lot of anxiety, as a lot of us are in this time, like I know, I feel like I learned remote connection for totally different reasons than you did. Um, but and if anybody watching is a twin flame, sacred partner, any of that craziness, like that's kind of my experience with that is being connected to another soul, and there's really no way that cord is going to be there whether you like it or not. Sometimes you
Right.
don't like it, sometimes you do. And like me learning how to manage my own energy dancing with another cord that's there. And sometimes you really do need to feel like they're there even if they're not. So something very simple that I've done, and I think it's even more fun if you can talk to that person and tell them to do it at the same time. But you can absolutely do it without them being a part of it. I just place my hand over my heart, close my eyes, and take deep breaths. But my focus is on listening to my own heartbeat. So you get quiet enough to hear your own heartbeat. And then you bring that other person into the awareness with the idea that there's a cord from your heart to theirs, and just sending love back and forth along that cord. So like I said, I think it can be even more powerful when you know that you're doing it at the same time. But
Right.
but you can send love to people that way at any time. I mean, you could be standing in line at the grocery store and do that quick, like
Yeah,
uh, if you're
absolutely.
missing somebody or you need that connection. So that's a quick way that I use to reconnect. Yeah, I think it's a lot simpler than people think, and it's pretty cool actually. I think it's pretty cool to it's almost cool that this is forcing people to learn how interconnected we actually all are at a deeper level.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I mean, anyone that I've ever spoken to has said, "Oh, I've had times where I was thinking of like my best friend, and then they called me, or different times like that." And those are moments, little micro moments, where we realize that connection. So this is basically just taking that capacity and doing it consciously.
Oh, yes, that's a
Right.
perfect description of that.
Yeah.
I I also want to touch on, so and maybe there's something that you can share about this too that we haven't talked about yet, but as a lot of people know, I also sometimes dead people hang out with me. Um so I was also speaking with a friend recently about the idea that like you can call in deceased loved ones, spirit guides, angels, whatever you want to call it, your spirit team. At times where you feel isolated or alone or you need some courage, you can also call those beings into your space.
Right.
And some people can actually see them. I'm not I haven't yet. Who knows what, but you can definitely feel them, and that's a lot of just visualization, but also just intentionally calling beings of light into your space can be really helpful if you're feeling alone or disconnected. And I mean, literally, you just talk to them as if there was somebody standing in the room with you.
Right.
I think it's really as simple as that. And, maybe that's what crazy people do. I don't know. But but no, for me, like for example, like John's one of my guides, and when I'm feeling low or I need help or a boost, I just say, John, can you please just be here with me right now? And a lot of times I'll receive an image of him putting his hand on my shoulder. Or if I'm like walking around or I'm out and about, like I'll feel a sense of like people surrounding me. So like there's a person on either side and a person at my back, like as if I'm in a protected bubble, like as if you've got your crew around you to keep you safe and make you feel supported. So like that's actually for me very simple to do. It's just about, if you want to use this time in quarantine to cultivate more of a relationship with those types of beings, it's easier if it's quiet. I do it if you can go out and go for a walk and visualize people walking beside you. You can do that. You can even just sit quietly and just ask to be surrounded by loving presence. I mean, when you ask, they deliver. That's kind of their job. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that because it also isn't just beings that are embodied that whose energy we can call in.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I have not really ever worked much with spirit guides. However, doing a lot of work with the light and the light field, um, I have consciously connected to that in meditation, and during times where I'm grieving and asked for, the light to fill me. And I mean, yeah, that's a truly moving experience because I felt in my body like I was being filled with love and light and comfort and that I wasn't alone. So there are different ways, whatever resonates for you, really, connects for you. Um, you, if it's happened to you on accident, you can do it consciously.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that because I feel like what you're describing, that is a lot about, well, it's reconnecting with self, like our higher self, which is really just connected to the larger thing anyway. But I think it is a great time for people to reconnect with that divine piece of themselves.
Absolutely. Yep.
And maybe in some ways that sounds lonely. Like, I know me personally, it's like higher self. Like, I'd rather connect with someone. Like, I'd rather feel love from someone else. But like that's a block, like
Yeah.
you are the only being that you spend your entire existence with.
Yeah.
So you should be your own lover in some ways,
Yeah, I think it's all relevant. That's the thing is like the further I go along on the spiritual journey, the less actually judgmental I get because I feel like, people will pick apart what this person is doing, what this group believes in, blah, 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 blah. And there's relevancy to all of it. So if you are in that space where you need that comfort from guides, do that. If you're in that space where you're like, I need to connect to source directly, I need to connect to light field, do that. It's all relevant. And I think really the point is to honor where we're at, to respect where we're at. So, and everyone has a different gift and way of experiencing it. I think that's beautiful. I think that's amazing. So, you know
Yeah.
that's my sense.
Well, and it's funny because weren't we just mentioning the other day, it's like I think at the end of the day, even if you complain sometimes about your gifts or like the things that happen to you, at least for me, you're also sometimes when you look at what other people are going through or what other people are facing, you're like, oh, I'll take mine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. It's so
like,
true.
like we really have gotten our personal experience for a reason.
Yeah.
Um, and even if we don't always understand it at the time, it's been designed specially for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Even in the discomfort of the lessons, you can look back and go, oh my gosh, this was divine. This was so necessary. And, I'm actually grateful for it in so many ways. Yeah.
It's so interesting, and I think it's just been a very heavy time energetically for, like, especially people who consider themselves intuitives or empaths or sensitives, like
Yeah.
it's been a lot of energy coming through and a lot of people, you know, upset all at the same time. So it's definitely been, I mean, I've been exhausted and
Yeah, last Wednesday was pretty much when like we shut down our practice, like seeing patients in person. And we pretty much shut down everything and self quarantined basically from that day on. And I had my own emotional reaction to that. And the next day, I just felt like the weight of this energetic collective was just almost overwhelming for me. I felt like people had actually kind of started to panic a bit. And yeah, last Thursday and Friday were really rough, and I had to consciously gather myself, and go through all of my self-care tools and really recognize, like, hey, you have been preparing for this on a micro level. Like, you've got this. So do those things. And it really did. By Saturday, I felt like, okay, I'm managing this better. And not that people weren't panicking still, or it wasn't heavy, but as an empath, I was able to move through my space better. But I know that it's gonna go up and down. It's gonna dip and die for a while. So I just always lean back on those tools.
What do you like, what's your go-to when you feel that overwhelm?
That overwhelm, I personally, and this is me personally, but I have got to have space when I'm overwhelmed. Like, I cannot have people up in my zone. So what I've been doing, since I can't really go anywhere, is I've been taking my phone and my earbuds and going down to this little field area by my house, and I actually sit on the ground. I bring my yoga mat and I sit on the ground, and I envision that cording light from light field going down through my body and grounding me out into the earth. Yeah. And
Rosie just needed to be in the video. Sorry.
And I just do my breathing, and just I cycle my breath through until I feel like, okay, my nervous system is really coming back to stable. And I ask, from source, please move this through me. I can't carry personally the weight of this for the collective. I will be there, I will be of service, but I can't carry the weight of it. And I usually, in about 15 to 30 minutes, I feel that lighten up.
That's nice. Yeah. For me, it's definitely a salt bath. Like, that, that makes me feel so much better afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a lot though. It's like, how many times can I scrub myself with salt? I'm gonna have raw skin.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's funny, no, but I think we're all doing our best, and it's been actually really nice to see how people are reaching out to each other and trying to be there for each other. So
Oh, I love it. Like, in my community, we are talking, we're Skyping, we're texting, we're calling. Um, and, I feel, I hope some of these changes last, actually. In some ways it's more connective, and, I love that. I love that, actually. So I hope that that's kind of a silver lining to this thing that we carry forward.
yeah, I hope so too. And
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to say, for everybody who's watching the video that we're recording right now, like, I'm going to post links to our information below. If you feel like you need support or would like some at this time, like, reach out to us. Also, comment below, like, let us know if there's anything else you'd like us to talk about or any questions you have, because we've got time. We're going to be, we would love to have some more remote Soul Sisters sessions. So
Absolutely. We're gonna keep it going. I mean, there's nothing but time right now. So
yeah, so thanks for chatting with me today, Nikki.
yes, thank you so much. I miss you. I miss hugging you.
I know. We're gonna hug so good when this is
We're
done.
gonna hug so good.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.